Did you know that every year in the United States, there are more than 800,000 cases of heart attack and over 150,000 deaths from stroke, and the majority could be prevented with the right essential vitamins? After age 60, the body's ability to absorb nutrients declines significantly, leading to deficiencies in vitamins that play a critical role in preventing atherosclerosis, high blood pressure, and blood clots. Are you certain your heart is getting the full protection it needs? What would happen if a sudden heart attack struck while you were sitting on the sofa, or a stroke occurred in the middle of your sleep? The good news is that science has already confirmed simple solutions. By regularly supplementing the right vitamins, you can improve vascular elasticity, stabilize heart rhythm, lower bad cholesterol, and reduce the risk of sudden death. This video will reveal the best vitamins for heart health, supported by clear clinical evidence, so you can start protecting your heart today. Heart attack and stroke never happen by chance. They are the result of years of plaque buildup in the arteries, uncontrolled high blood pressure, and silent inflammation within the cardiovascular system. After age 60, the risk multiplies because the body gradually loses its ability to repair damage in blood vessels. This is why cardiologists worldwide continue to warn that prevention must begin with small daily habits, especially nutrition. Few people realize that vitamin deficiency can be a key factor that makes blood vessels more fragile and increases the likelihood of clot formation. Taking the right vitamins at the right dose not only helps maintain overall health, but also directly lowers the risk of heart attack and stroke. In this video, you will discover the top 10 vitamins that science has proven to be beneficial for cardiovascular health. This is not a vague list, but nutrients supported by hundreds of clinical studies. Most importantly, you will learn how to apply this knowledge in your daily life to significantly reduce the risks for yourself and your loved ones. When you reach the age of 60, the body no longer functions the way it once did. The digestive system becomes less efficient, nutrient absorption gradually declines, and many people fall into vitamin deficiencies even when they believe they are eating adequately. This is a silent danger because lacking essential vitamins can raise the risk of heart attack and stroke. Research has shown that certain vitamins act as protective barriers for blood vessels, the heart, and the brain, helping to stabilize circulation and reduce the risk of serious complications. The critical question is, what is the mechanism, and why can vitamins make such a profound difference? The key point is that it is not just individual vitamins that matter, but their combined and coordinated effects that create a strong shield for cardiovascular health. Older adults need both fat-soluble and water-soluble vitamins because they are involved in multiple metabolic processes and support each other in maintaining a healthy heart and vascular system. This explains why a diverse diet rich in vegetables, fruits, whole grains, fatty fish, and fermented foods is considered the foundation of heart health after age 60. Once you understand this mechanism, it becomes clear that vitamin supplementation is not an optional addition, but a vital requirement for sustaining life. Ignoring this need places you at a much higher risk for deadly cardiovascular events. And once a heart attack or stroke occurs, the time for regret is often too short, while preparation made today can add decades of healthy living. What follows is an introduction to the most essential vitamins you need to know about. Vitamin D. Vitamin D is often mentioned in connection with bone health, but few realize that it is also a critical factor in protecting the cardiovascular system. For adults over 60, vitamin D deficiency not only weakens bones, but also raises blood pressure, reduces vascular elasticity, and increases the risk of heart attack and stroke. Research published in Circulation shows that people with low blood levels of vitamin D have a 50% higher risk of heart attack compared to those with normal levels. Vitamin D plays a role in regulating the renin-angiotensin system, which helps lower blood pressure and reduce stress on artery walls. It also contributes to blood sugar control and reduces chronic inflammation, two major risk factors that damage the endothelium. What is especially concerning is that vitamin D deficiency rates in the U.S. are very high, particularly among seniors. Common causes include limited sun exposure, frequent use of sunscreen, and the natural decline in the skin's ability to synthesize vitamin D with age. In reality, many older adults rely solely on diet, yet natural food sources of vitamin D are limited. Rich sources include fatty fish such as salmon, mackerel, and sardines, as well as egg yolks and fortified dairy products. For seniors, vitamin D supplements are often necessary, especially during the winter months or in regions with limited sunlight. The general recommendation for adults over 60 is 800 to 1,000 IU per day, although higher doses may be prescribed by a physician based on blood test results. It is important not to self-medicate with excessive doses, as too much vitamin D can cause vascular calcification and kidney stones. A simple but effective strategy is to combine 10-20 minutes of morning sun exposure with eating fatty fish twice a week, choosing fortified foods such as milk, and monitoring vitamin D levels through regular blood tests. For seniors, these small steps can significantly reduce the risk of high blood pressure, endothelial damage, and ultimately heart attack and stroke. 2. Vitamin C. Vitamin C has long been known as a powerful antioxidant, but its most critical role in cardiovascular health is protecting collagen, the structural framework of blood vessels. After age 60, the body produces less collagen, causing arteries to weaken and become more vulnerable to damage. This is when vitamin C serves as a protective barrier, maintaining the strength and elasticity of arteries and lowering the risk of rupture that could lead to a heart attack or stroke. Vitamin C also acts as an antioxidant shield, neutralizing harmful free radicals. When blood vessels are under oxidative stress, bad cholesterol more easily adheres to the vessel walls, accelerating plaque formation. By reducing this oxidative injury, vitamin C indirectly slows the progression of atherosclerosis, which is the root cause of most heart attacks and strokes. A study in the United Kingdom found that people with low plasma vitamin C levels had a significantly higher risk of dying from cardiovascular disease compared to those with normal levels. Seniors are more prone to vitamin C deficiency due to inadequate fruit and vegetable intake, reduced absorption, or overcooking food. Deficiency can result in bleeding gums, easy bruising, delayed wound healing, and, most importantly, fragile arteries that increase the risk of dangerous blood clot formation. Natural sources of vitamin C include citrus fruits, kiwi, strawberries, bell peppers, broccoli, and kale. Since vitamin C is easily destroyed by heat and light, it is best consumed from fresh fruit or lightly steamed vegetables rather than long-cooked dishes. A daily intake of a variety of fresh produce not only provides vitamin C, but also adds fiber and other micronutrients that support heart health. The recommended daily allowance for adults is 75 to 90 milligrams, but many cardiology experts advise seniors to take around 200 to 500 milligrams per day for optimal vascular protection. The safe upper limit is 2,000 milligrams per day. Low-dose supplements can be used, but should be taken under medical guidance to avoid digestive upset or kidney stone risk. Vitamin C is not a replacement for prescribed medications, but when maintained consistently, it can slow atherosclerosis, reduce oxidative stress, and preserve vascular integrity. For seniors, simply adding one salad rich in leafy greens and fresh fruit each day is a solid step toward preventing heart attack and stroke. 3. Vitamin E. Vitamin E is a fat-soluble antioxidant that protects cell membranes from free radical damage. For cardiovascular health, its key role is reducing inflammation and preventing the formation and progression of plaque in the arteries. As plaque builds up, arteries narrow, blood flow is restricted, and the risk of heart attack or stroke rises. Observational studies have shown that people with diets rich in vitamin E experience fewer cardiovascular complications. Vitamin E helps shield LDL cholesterol from oxidation and supports arterial flexibility, reducing stiffness. When LDL becomes oxidized, it more easily attaches to artery walls and triggers atherosclerosis. By slowing this process, vitamin E can provide long-term vascular protection. However, it is critical to note that excessive vitamin E intake does not provide more benefit and may actually cause harm. Clinical studies indicate that supplementation above 400 IU per day over long periods can increase the risk of bleeding, particularly in those taking blood thinners, such as warfarin or aspirin. For seniors, this concern is even more serious given the frequent use of multiple medications for chronic conditions. The best approach is to prioritize natural food sources of vitamin E rather than relying heavily on supplements. Rich sources include sunflower seeds, almonds, Brazil nuts, hazelnuts, plant oils such as sunflower, canola, and olive oil, as well as leafy greens like spinach and broccoli. Whole foods not only deliver vitamin E, but also provide other antioxidants that work together for stronger cardiovascular protection. The recommended daily intake for adults is about 15 milligrams, 22.4 IU, a level easily achieved through a balanced diet that includes nuts, seeds, plant oils, and vegetables. Vitamin E supplements should only be considered when diet alone is insufficient and always with medical guidance to avoid drug interactions. A simple strategy for seniors is to add a handful of almonds each day, drizzle olive oil over a salad, or saute spinach with healthy oil. These steps safely provide essential vitamin E, helping reduce inflammation, slow plaque development, and protect arteries from the silent blockages that lead to heart attack or stroke.
4. Vitamin K2. Vitamin K2 is not as well known as vitamins C or D, but it plays a vital role in cardiovascular health, especially for adults over 60. Its key function is calcium regulation. Without adequate K2, calcium is deposited in the wrong places, building up in the arteries instead of strengthening bones. This leads to arterial calcification, which stiffens and narrows blood vessels, raising the risk of heart attack and stroke. Vitamin K2 works by activating a special protein called matrix gliaprotein, MGP. This protein acts like a gatekeeper, preventing calcium from attaching to artery walls. When K2 is deficient, MGP is not fully activated, and calcium circulates freely before settling in the most dangerous locations, the coronary arteries and the arteries of the brain. This greatly increases the risk of atherosclerosis, blockages, and cardiovascular events. Clinical studies have confirmed a direct link between higher dietary intake of vitamin K2 and reduced cardiovascular mortality. A large study from the Netherlands that followed thousands of participants for years found that those with higher K2 intake had up to a 50% lower risk of dying from heart disease compared to those with low intake. Evidence also shows that K2 improves arterial elasticity and reduces calcification levels in seniors. Dietary sources of vitamin K2 are limited but distinct. The richest food source is natto, a traditional Japanese fermented soybean dish. Other significant sources include hard cheeses, egg yolks, chicken, and organ meats. For seniors in the U.S., incorporating cheese and eggs may be more practical than natto, but all of these foods can contribute to lowering arterial calcification. Specific recommended dosages for vitamin K2 are still under study, but many experts suggest around 90 to 120 mcg per day for adults. The most important step is consistent intake through food rather than relying solely on supplements. If supplements are necessary, seniors should always consult their physician, especially if taking blood thinners such as warfarin, since vitamin K2 can interfere with these medications. For those over 60, adding a slice of cheese to breakfast, eating a boiled egg, or including fermented foods in the diet are small but powerful changes for cardiovascular health. With the help of vitamin K2, calcium is directed to the right place, the bones, instead of clogging arteries, thereby protecting the heart and brain and reducing the risk of atherosclerosis, heart attack, and stroke.
5. B vitamins. When it comes to heart health, most people think of cholesterol, blood pressure, or blood sugar, but few pay attention to a silent yet dangerous factor, homocysteine. This amino acid is produced during normal metabolism. At safe levels, it is harmless, but when elevated,
Homocysteine can damage the inner lining of blood vessels, promote clot formation, and significantly increase the risk of heart attack and stroke. Medical research has shown that high homocysteine levels may raise the risk of coronary artery disease by up to 70%. For seniors over 60, as metabolism slows down, elevated homocysteine becomes increasingly common. This is where B vitamins, particularly B6, B12, and folate B9, play a vital role. Their protective mechanism lies in lowering blood homocysteine levels. Vitamin B6 helps convert homocysteine into cysteine, a less harmful compound. Vitamin B12 and folate recycle homocysteine into methionine, another essential amino acid. When these three vitamins work together, they help keep homocysteine within a safe range, relieving stress on blood vessels and preventing dangerous clots. Dietary sources of B vitamins are abundant. Vitamin B6 is found in salmon, turkey, bananas, and potatoes. Vitamin B12 is present in red meat, tuna, salmon, eggs, and dairy. But seniors must be aware that absorption of B12 through the digestive tract declines significantly with age. Folate is plentiful in leafy greens such as spinach, broccoli, asparagus, and legumes. One important concern is that many seniors in the U.S., particularly vegetarians or those with stomach issues such as atrophic gastritis, are at high risk of B12 deficiency. Low B12 not only raises homocysteine, but also causes anemia, fatigue, and neurological problems. In such cases, B12 injections or sublingual supplements prescribed by a physician may be necessary. The recommended intake for seniors is about 1.7 milligrams of vitamin B6 per day, 2.4 micrograms of vitamin B12, and 400 micrograms of folate. These levels are safe and achievable through a balanced, varied diet. However, taking high doses without medical supervision can lead to side effects, especially prolonged high-dose B6, which may cause nerve damage. For adults over 60, regular blood testing to monitor homocysteine levels, combined with proper B vitamin intake, is a subtle yet powerful strategy against heart attack and stroke. This is a way of protecting blood vessels from the inside out, and it should not be overlooked in the journey to maintain a healthy heart. 6. Magnesium. Magnesium is one of the essential minerals often overlooked in the diet of seniors. In fact, it is estimated that up to 60% of American adults do not get enough magnesium daily, and deficiency is even more common in those over 60. The consequences include a range of silent disorders, the most serious of which are related to cardiovascular health. Magnesium plays a critical role in stabilizing heart rhythm and reducing vascular constriction. It regulates calcium and potassium flow within heart muscle cells, helping maintain a steady heartbeat. When magnesium is deficient, heart rhythm can become irregular, raising the risk of arrhythmias, one of the direct contributors to heart attack and sudden cardiac death. Magnesium also helps blood vessels relax, thereby lowering blood pressure and reducing strain on the heart. Clinical studies have shown that low magnesium levels are linked to a higher risk of coronary artery disease, hypertension, and even stroke. A report in the Journal of the American Heart Association confirmed that individuals with low blood magnesium levels have a higher risk of dying from heart disease compared to those who maintain stable levels. Magnesium-rich foods are widely available. Almonds, pumpkin seeds, cashews, leafy greens, spinach, broccoli, oats, whole grains, and legumes are excellent sources. However, seniors often struggle with absorption due to age-related changes or the use of medications such as diuretics and antacids which deplete magnesium in the body. The recommended intake for adults is around 320 to 420 milligrams of magnesium per day, depending on gender and overall health status. For seniors, it is best to prioritize food sources of magnesium, since high-dose supplements may cause diarrhea and digestive discomfort. If supplementation is medically necessary, the dosage should be closely monitored by a healthcare professional. Magnesium deficiency is a silent but preventable threat. For adults over 60, ensuring proper magnesium intake is a key strategy to stabilize blood pressure, protect heart rhythm, and lower the risk of both heart attack and stroke later in life.
7. Potassium. Potassium is a mineral that plays a central role in electrolyte balance and in maintaining the steady function of the heart. One of its most important mechanisms is counteracting sodium in the body, thereby helping regulate blood pressure. When the diet is high in salt but low in potassium, the body is more prone to prolonged hypertension, which damages blood vessels and paves the way for heart attack and stroke. Large epidemiological studies have shown that individuals who consume adequate potassium have up to a 24% lower risk of stroke compared to those who are deficient. The World Health Organization, WHO, recommends that adults maintain potassium intake above 3,500 milligrams per day to prevent hypertension and cardiovascular events. For seniors over 60, potassium's role in blood pressure control is even more critical, since arteries at this age are stiffer and more vulnerable to damage from high blood pressure. Potassium also helps lower the risk of kidney stones and supports bone health by maintaining the body's acid-base balance, which indirectly benefits the cardiovascular system. However, improper potassium supplementation carries risks. People with chronic kidney disease or those taking potassium-sparing diuretics must be cautious, as excessive potassium can cause dangerous arrhythmias. Natural food sources of potassium are abundant and easy to include in daily meals. Bananas, oranges, avocados, tomatoes, potatoes, sweet potatoes, spinach, white beans, and lentils are all rich in potassium. Instead of relying on supplements, seniors should focus on a diet rich in fresh fruits and vegetables, which not only supply potassium but also provide fiber and other essential vitamins. An effective strategy is to reduce sodium while increasing potassium-rich foods. This is a core principle of the DASH diet, which has been clinically proven to lower blood pressure and reduce cardiovascular risk in older adults. For seniors, potassium is more than just a mineral. It is a natural shield against hypertension, stroke, and heart attack. Ensuring sufficient daily potassium intake is one of the simplest yet most powerful steps to protect cardiovascular health after age 60. 8. Omega-3 fatty acids. Omega-3 fatty acids are among the most important nutrients for protecting cardiovascular health in older adults. Their main mechanisms include lowering blood triglycerides, reducing chronic inflammation, and preventing the formation of blood clots. These three factors are directly tied to the risk of heart attack and stroke. When triglyceride levels are high, arterial plaque develops more quickly, narrowing blood vessels and increasing the chance of rupture and blockage. Omega-3s help control this process, easing the strain on both the heart and brain. Large-scale clinical studies, including analyses from the American Heart Association, AHA, have confirmed that regular omega-3 intake can reduce the risk of death from heart disease by up to 30%. Omega-3s also help stabilize heart rhythm and lower the risk of malignant arrhythmias, which are a common cause of sudden cardiac death in seniors. The best sources of omega-3s are cold water fatty fish, such as salmon, sardines, mackerel, and herring. Just 2 to 3 servings of fish per week are enough to provide the recommended amounts. Seniors can also obtain omega-3s from flax seeds, chia seeds, and walnuts. However, plant sources primarily contain ALA, alpha-linolenic acid, which must be converted into EPA and DHA in the body, a process that becomes less efficient with age. For this reason, fish remains the optimal source. Fish oil or algae oil supplements are also an option, especially for those who eat little fish. Typical recommendations range from 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams of combined EPA and DHA daily. But seniors should consult their physician first, particularly if taking blood thinners, since omega-3s may increase bleeding risk. The key is consistency. Short-term supplementation will not deliver benefits. Long-term dietary habits are essential. Incorporating omega-3s into the diet helps lower bad cholesterol, raise good cholesterol, slightly reduce blood pressure, and ultimately decrease the risk of heart attack and stroke after age 60.
9. Coenzyme Q10. Coenzyme Q10, often called CoQ10, is a natural antioxidant found in every cell, with the highest concentration in the heart. After age 60, CoQ10 levels decline significantly, making the heart less efficient. Its primary role is to participate in ATP energy production, which powers cellular activity. In the heart, CoQ10 supports contraction strength and a stable rhythm. When levels are low, the heart tires more easily, increasing the risk of heart failure, arrhythmias, and ultimately a heart attack. Another crucial function of CoQ10 is its strong antioxidant effect, which reduces free radical damage in blood vessel walls. The oxidation of LDL cholesterol is a major driver of plaque buildup, leading to blockages in coronary and cerebral arteries. Supplementing CoQ10 helps slow this process, supports endothelial function, improves blood flow, and provides a mild reduction in blood pressure. Research has shown that older adults taking statins to lower cholesterol are at higher risk of CoQ10 deficiency, since these drugs inhibit the body's natural CoQ10 synthesis. This explains why some statin users experience muscle pain, fatigue, or reduced stamina. Supplementing CoQ10 has been proven to alleviate these symptoms while adding cardiovascular protection. Natural sources of CoQ10 include fatty fish, such as salmon and herring, organ meats, heart, liver, kidneys, beef, and some whole grains. However, the levels in food are usually too low to restore adequate levels in seniors. For this reason, many physicians recommend CoQ10 supplements, often in capsule form. The typical dosage for older adults is 100 to 200 milligrams daily, depending on individual health conditions and concurrent medications. It is essential not to self-prescribe high doses. Seniors should consult their physician, particularly if they are being treated for hypertension, diabetes, or taking blood thinners, since CoQ10 can interact with certain medications. When used properly, CoQ10 boosts cardiac energy, reduces inflammation, improves quality of life, and, most importantly, lowers the risk of heart attack and stroke, the two most dangerous cardiovascular threats after age 60.
10. Polyphenols and flavonoids. Polyphenols and flavonoids are powerful plant compounds often referred to as nature's weapons for protecting the heart and brain. After age 60, oxidative stress and chronic inflammation accelerate, leaving blood vessels more vulnerable to damage, plaque formation, and an increased risk of heart attack and stroke. Polyphenols and flavonoids act as antioxidants and anti-inflammatory agents, neutralizing free radicals, improving endothelial function, and preserving arterial elasticity. Epidemiological studies have shown that seniors who consume more polyphenol-rich foods have a significantly lower risk of death from cardiovascular disease. Flavonoids are especially effective at reducing platelet aggregation, thereby lowering the risk of dangerous clot formation, a direct cause of heart attack and stroke. They also help regulate blood pressure, reduce LDL cholesterol, and increase HDL cholesterol, creating comprehensive vascular protection. Food sources of polyphenols and flavonoids are abundant and easy to integrate into a daily diet. Green tea is one of the best choices, rich in catechins that improve circulation and lower blood pressure. Pure cacao and dark chocolate supply flavonoids that promote vasodilation and enhance blood flow. Berries such as blueberries, strawberries, and raspberries contain anthocyanins with potent anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effects. In small amounts, red wine, no more than 1 glass per day, can also provide resveratrol, a polyphenol with heart protective properties. For adults over 60, the priority should be natural food sources rather than relying solely on supplements. Effective protection comes from a varied diet that includes fruits, vegetables, nuts, green tea, and a modest amount of pure cacao. Seniors should avoid sugary chocolate products or excessive wine consumption, as these can raise blood pressure and blood sugar, counteracting the benefits. By incorporating polyphenols and flavonoids into daily meals, older adults can reduce chronic inflammation, strengthen blood vessels, and, most importantly, lower the risk of heart attack and stroke, the two leading causes of death in the United States.
This is a small but sustainable lifestyle change that can safeguard both the heart and brain after age 60. In summary, while we cannot change our age, we can take proactive steps to reduce the risk of heart attack and stroke. Aging brings challenges to the heart and brain, from high blood pressure and unstable cholesterol to the threat of vascular blockages. But by understanding the body, supplementing with the right vitamins and nutrients, and making small but consistent lifestyle adjustments, anyone can dramatically reduce the risk of sudden death. This is not theory. It has been proven by hundreds of medical studies. If you find value in this video, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with friends and family, especially those over 60. A single piece of information could save a life, and you may be the one to deliver that change. Finally, to make sure you don't miss future guidance on protecting the heart and brain, hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell now. Each week, you'll receive practical, science-based information and the latest updates from research, along with specific advice for maintaining heart health after 60. Your heart has been working tirelessly your entire life. Give it the chance to stay strong for many more years to come.